Hello and welcome to an exciting new season of GPVWC. It is time for the Superlights round. We've already had FS1 and FS2 last week. It's time for the big two this week. I am Ewan Gale. I am back. I am in a different seat this year. I'm delighted to say I am joined by Ross McIntyre for the upcoming season, and we are here at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola for round one. Ross, welcome to Superlights. You excited for the season?
Excited doesn't even begin to describe how I'm feeling, Ewan. Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to the opening round of the 2023 Superlights season. And as you said, Ewan, we've had a couple of races the past week, but it's been a long off season. We've had pre-season testing, we've had the academy going on. Yes, we've had Formula Sprint 1 and Formula Sprint 2, but it's been a long few months. But we are here, and now it is time for the big boys. This is the second tier of GPVWC racing. We're just coming to the end of practice now before we get going for the race proper. And this is the series, if you're new to GPVWC, where it really sorts the men from the boys, the wheat from the chaff. And safe to say that I am very much looking forward to the upcoming season.
Yeah, and even more excited when you have a look at the practice times, ladies and gentlemen. We're already into tight territory. Top two separated by just 0.004 seconds. But we'll come to that in a moment because qualifying is just around the corner. But first, let's have a look at the calendar for the upcoming season. A few changes from last year. Obviously, we're starting with the San Marino Grand Prix today, and in 2 weeks' time we'll be back for Bahrain. Then we'll go to Australia, the stalwart, if you like. But then we've got a new addition. Saudi Arabia enters, replacing Portugal. That'll be the fourth round of the championship before going out to Azerbaijan. Then the German Grand Prix comes back in the form of the Nürburgring, and another new addition as well at Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. There is a little bit of a gap between those two. The first of the breaks in the calendar before going to Canada, Britain, Hungary and Belgium. That finishes off the summer rounds before a final 5-round burst in Italy, Singapore, Japan, Abu Dhabi and of course Brazil, which has become the exciting season ender for all GPVWC series. So, going into qualifying, we're about 20 seconds away from the start of that, and we can tell you, and we will go through the drivers and their teams just after qualifying when we've got a bit of time in the warm-up. But Owen McGorgy for Road to Formula Racing was 0.004 seconds faster than Liam Duval, who is in for Fusion Racing, back in Superlights. The last time he was in Superlights, he was utterly dominant. 10 race wins at the start of the championship, not beaten, and then he just left for the second half of the year, basically, and still won by 47 points. Ross, talented grid coming up. What are you expecting to see in this qualifying session?
Expecting to see some very, very strong laps. I mean, the practice sessions were looking superb on the times, and of course, we've got this new car coming in to this year, which will look very familiar if you're a fan of Formula One, kind of bringing this new ground effect here of single-seater racing over into R Factor 2 and into GPVWC. So very excited. Oh, McGorgy first, who we're looking at here, just you mentioned him, a driver I'm very familiar with. Was a vice champion in FS1 last year, and is just an unreal talent. I'm super excited to see what he can do in the Road to Formula Car coming into this one. Of course, qualifying here, just to refresh your memories again, it's been a long off season. It is a private qualifying session, so that means that it is only you on the track. No slipstream from the other drivers. It's just everyone's going around at the same time, but the other drivers aren't simulated within your game. It's a bit of a weird concept to get around, but it essentially means that it is the purest form of qualifying that you can get. It is only you and your car, and what you can do is we're on board Owen McGorgy about to start his flying lap. What you'll typically see is the drivers come out, do a push lap, come in and do that maybe 2 or 3 times over the course of the session. Of course, the times will drop as the session goes on, as the track gets quicker and quicker. It's not the nicest day out in Imola. It's not been particularly nice over the past few weeks in this region of Italy, if we're being brutally honest. Grey skies overhead, but it's not too cold and it's not looking like it's going to rain tonight. So we can hold on to that hope at least, as McGorgy already committing very, very heavily, running as much curve as he can through several of the corners. The car bouncing this way and that way as he heads up the hill. Blinking, you'll miss it. Brake, downshift in, and that corner's gone. Easy as that big wobble on the exit for Owen McGorgy. But as you were saying, Ewan, it is a super, super talented grid again. This is, as I said earlier, this is the series where, you really start to see who the real talents are. It's the second tier here in Grand Prix Virtual World Championship racing. And there is a lot of talented drivers. We've got drivers making the jump straight from FS2. We've got drivers like McGoy here, runner-up in FS1 last year. Of course, we've got the boys and girls who were here in Superlights last year and are now in the second or the third or the fourth season, whatever it may be, and have that experience of racing in that championship. And that is a deadly, deadly threat in sim racing to have such experience. As we cross the line now, Omagorgi sets the opening fastest lap time with a 1:19.417. Absolutely rapid, but be expecting that lap to drop over the remainder of the session. And as I say that, Liam Devol goes faster, so 1:19.385. Less than half a tenth of a second separating the top three.
Yeah, so we've already got 12 laps in already. It's Deval from Magogi, Platt, Francesconi, Ragusa, Pum, Sandeep Singh in the second road to Formula Car. He's the highest returning driver from last season's championship, by the way, Sandeep Singh, in P7. Then the second Francesconi, that's Christian Renko Dezeo, and Michael Ayres in the Valley. A bit of a swap for Michael into P10 then. Times coming in thick and fast. Look how close it is at the top. Deval, Magorgi and Platt separated by 0.03 seconds as Gorby comes across the line to go P4.
Yeah, some strong lap times being set here as we're on board with Lorenzo Cappellini bouncing his way across the chicanes. You can take that sausage curb in this sim. Part of the beauty of our Factor 2, the simulator that we're running on. It is fantastic in so many ways, but it doesn't quite simulate you breaking your spine and suspension, smashing your way over sausage curbs, so you can get away with that in this sim. Blasting out of the last corner, could have done with a little bit more curb, but he's actually diving into the pits. Is Cappellini, so decided that that lap wasn't good enough. Damien Kardash for Gallery 82, got a special livery on the car for this race, and I believe it might be for this season as well, celebrating 10 years since their foundation. So obviously a big congratulations to everybody involved over at Gallery 82 for achieving such a great milestone as the team, as Kardash puts it, P17 on the grid for the time being. Hopefully those guys in the Gallery 82 cars can have a good and strong race to get their anniversary season underway. I mean, just looking through this driver list, Jin, it is such a strong grid out there. I mean, you've got the guys at the top, you've got your Devols, your McGorgis, your Platts, your Gobbies, your Sings, and all of them. And then looking through as well, there's you've got Rigoza in there, Van der Voort as well. It is just such a strong grid of drivers. Not even everyone's set a lap yet. And what must be said, I think it's good to say, is so far as well, over the races that we've seen here in Imola, both in Formula Sprint 1 and 2, it's been relatively clean. We've seen a lot of relatively good racing. And now we're getting to the upper echelons of the talent that we have here in GPVWC. I'm expecting to see some brilliant action moving forward, but we've still got just about 9 minutes and 45 seconds left in this qualifying. Skwanowski pushing hard, taking the car to the ragged edge as he comes round the final corner. Lost a bit of time in the middle sector, unfortunately, so he's only going to be able to put it P20, but that looks like he's made a mistake through there to me, so I'm sure he'll be able to improve. Alex Laho as well for Red Arrow Racing, looking pretty strong out there. Again, a lot of drivers putting in a lot of work over the off-season, so it's great to see. You know, for sim races, the season never really ends. You know, you finish the final race and then straight away you're practicing for the next round come February or March, as Laho gets very sideways coming out of the penultimate corner. He dives into the pits. That lap is toast. We've got 9 minutes left, and I mean, look how close it is at the top. You've got the top three covered by 0.03 of a second, and again from down there as well, Gobby's only 0.3 off, Sings not quite 0.4 off. So many drivers so close. We're within 1 second down to Rigoza in P13. It's ridiculously close out there.
Yeah, worth clearing up a few little changes to the drive lineups as well. Reserves in at Red Arrow, that is Leho in for Tom Parker. And we've also got Wozniacki in at PZZW instead of Mikhail Galka. So he's partnering Adrian Farber. A few drivers already coming into the pits after a few issues on their opening laps. We saw Cappellini, we saw Leho as well having a big slide, and Farber. So they all came into the pits. They haven't set a lap. Better to not waste too much time. You cannot escape back to the pits and return to the track. You've got to be in the pit lane before you return to before you return to the garage, of course. So here's Magorgi then over the line. Fastest final sector by a mile, goes ahead of Deval into P1. Great lap, but this is going to tumble all the way down. Herlock then through the final corner across to the start-finish line. And he goes up to P8 for Joseph Herlock, as Francesconi minus the rear wing, Michael Francesconi minus the rear wing, goes across the grass at the Variante Alta.
Yeah, ideally you want to have a rear wing. Typically it helps in a single-seater. Yeah, just as you said, you have to make your way back to the pits on your own accord. If you put it in the wall and you can't make it back to the pits, that's it. Your session's over. That does change coming into the warm-up session in a little while. You are allowed to escape back to the pits in the warm-up. Just to clarify, in case you see a few people doing that in about 7 minutes' time, as Francesconi comes to the line, puts it P9, a yellow final sector, but two very strong opening sectors there. So still time to be found there for Francesconi. Sandeep Singh as well, looking strong in the opening sector. It is fine margins, and it is purple in sector 2 by 0.2 of a second. That's Fabrizio Gobi actually in the virtual drivers by TX3 car. Okay, so up the front, starting to find time where potentially other drivers can't. Coming out of the final corner now, foot to the floor. Now you're at the disposal of the sim racing gods, hoping you've got the power to make it to the line. He's going to go onto pole. A 1:19.351, 1700th of a second. A great lap there by Francisco Gobi. As Sandeep Singh as well, purple opening sector, green in the middle sector as well. What does he have as he comes through the final turn? DRS wide open for the short run to the line to end the lap. Does he go to pole? No, he can only improve to 4th. A bit of a disappointing final sector there. But again, a purple opening sector, and he's only put it 4th. Just shows how close you are. That's Alex Laho for the purple opening sector. Great stuff from him. Again, a reserve driver. You wouldn't be expecting him to maybe be setting purple sectors. And he's going to put it 7th. A great lap there by the Red Arrow Racing man. So awesome job from him. A few strong showings out here already. Damien Kardash, green in the middle sector as well for Gallery 82, looking to improve on that P20 spot with 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. He comes to the line and goes to P15. Nice little lap there from him, and that quite nicely groups the Gallery 82 cars together as well.
It does, as Kinnichait comes around the final corner as well to put his name onto the board. He's already 2 seconds down off his first lap. Let's see what he can do on the cross line. Stays where he is, but does improve on his lap time. That's crucial, really, for a driver like Hoyt coming into this championship. And really, you want to see that development in the early stages of the season. So there's Gobi coming back to the pits. He'll have one more lap at the end of this session. By the way, that car looks fast, and it clearly is fast, the TX3. Flavio Zongoli in the HG Esports. Now, HG had a few really good results last season. Couldn't do it consistently. Let's see what they can do this year with an all-Italian lineup. Here is Flavio Zongoli up to the Variante Alta. 2 personal bests so far, but he's off the pace at the moment. But again, new championship for Flavio, you know, all about development at this stage. Just see if he can just keep it clean through the final sector and get that lap time on the board. Only him and Faber yet to put their name on the lap charts.
Yeah, so not many drivers left to set a lap, but again, still time to be found and time to go as well. So I'm expecting a few drivers maybe bring it into the pits, kind of get themselves together, and then head out for one final flying lap of Zongoli into P23. As we are just waiting for the final few laps coming. Owen McGorgy, wow, that is an immense opening sector from Owen McGorgy. And that's purple as well in the middle sector. Oh, very sideways as he smashes the sausage curbs coming through the chicane at Variante Alta. That might cost him a little bit of time, but nearly 0.2 of a second up in the opening sector. He might be able to sacrifice a little bit here and there. McGorgy to the absolute limit. This could be a ridiculously strong lap time. Did he lose any time through the final sector? Wow. Owen McGorgy, 0.3 of a second quicker than anybody else. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a strong marker, isn't it, with 3 minutes left. But everyone will be back out. There's Van Boosel for Drag Racing coming back into the pit at the end of his run. Here's Pullman into the final sector, TR Gate. I tell you what, there's some fantastic looking cars on the grid this season, and luckily for us, quite distinctive as well. TR Geeks over the line. Oh no, he comes into the pits. I gave you the big build up there, I go, and you disappointed us. Michael Ayres then into Aqua Minerale in the Valley Esports. I had a bit of a chat with Michael this week, and he's pretty excited for this season. New team for him, and he's going into Variante Alta.
Coming through. Looks like he may have a little bit of damage on the car potentially, but we'll have to wait and see. As there we see Koroshaven heading down, coming into that tricky section down the bottom of the hill at Aqua Minerale, but getting the car through all right. I mean, these cars generate a lot of power. Of course, they're not quite on the same level as the Super League machines, where the best of the best duke it out for sim racing glory and to be crowned as the best single-seater drivers in sim racing and in R-Factor 2. But these cars are still very, very fast as Francesconi sticks it into P11. Alex Laho looking to improve once again. We know he's very strong through this middle sector. Like another strong time through the first sector as well. It's a green, sideways drifting the car through Aqua Minerale. That is one way to do it. Alex Laho coming into Variante Alta. You can see all of the drivers taking ridiculous amounts of sausage curb, but he's unfortunately a little bit down in the middle sector. Let's see what he can do through the final sector. I will say, Ewan, coming through Aqua Minerale, seeing how much curb these drivers are taking, I think we could be seeing a few drivers getting it wrong and spinning out as Laho takes the gravel. That's going to be that lap in the bin, and he does duck into the pits duly so. Unfortunate there for Alex Laho, but he will still have time if he's quick just to head back out to go on board Liam Duval. And again, you'll see through here as he comes through down through Aqua Minerale. But coming up to Variante Alta now, just watch how much curb these guys are taking. A purple middle sector. I mean, in real life, that's a broken floor and a broken suspension, no question. You know, you can get away with it in sim, but you know, I'm slightly worried. We could be seeing a few people get a bit too greedy and maybe see a few spinners there in the race.
Yeah, potentially. So we'll see how that transpires. Liam Duval in through the final corner. Great middle sector, slightly down in the first sector. A bit of a slide out of the final corner. And as close to the wall as he can go up back into P2 ahead of Gobi. So that will be Liam Duval's qualifying done. You'll see him escape out of the way and he will get ready for the race in the warm-up next. Goes Massimiliano Riboli in a valley instead of Stavros Moisaides. So that's the second Valley car in P26, of course last as well at the moment. Target time is a 1:19.0. We know that from Owen McGorgy, a stunning lap on his previous attempt. This for Riboli should put him just about in midfield, I think, if he can keep this pace up, sort of 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th-ish for Riboli as he comes across the line to complete the lap, and he does indeed go 21st. Actually lost a little bit more in the final sector. Matija Markovic ends his qualifying in the pits, P18 for him as Platt goes for a spin out of Piratella. Platt with a big spin out of Piratella, that ends his qualifying, and I think Francesconi's gone off as well. Michael Francesconi, he's P8. So the last few seconds have been a bit chaotic. Faber goes wide and loses time into Ravazza, and he won't improve on this lap. He's got damage as well. Zongoli P25 to finish his lap. Could we see any improvement from the Italian across the line and up into P24 then? He does. So at the moment, it looks pretty stable at the top, doesn't it? McGorgy, well, second, third and fourth, Duval, Gobi, Platt, all in the pits. We saw Platt having his issue. Singh won't improve. McGorgy is on a flyer. Kardash at the moment we're on board with, hopping over the curbs through the Variante Alta. P15 at the moment, faster in the first sector, lost time in the middle. Let's see what the Gallery 82 can do into the final two corners. Any slide actually is pretty much the neatest we've seen so far. Really nice on the steering wheel, Damian Kardash. Was it the quickest way to do it? We'll see. Goes up into P8. Great lap to finish. But McGorgy, look, is just going to put his name on a stamp and set it for everyone to see. What a lap that is. 1:18.878. 4/10 over Liam Duval.
A beautiful 360 to
Michael Ayres. Michael Ayres up into P3.
Oh, wow, yeah, look at that. A great late lap from Michael Ayres. But McGorgy, I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, we know the guy has talent. We know he's got bucket loads of talent. Again, runner-up in last year's FS1 Championship. But in sim racing, over 4/10 of a second up on second place. That is light years. Unreal stuff from Owen McGorgy. I mean, we'll have to see how he goes in the race. Of course, we've got 51 laps to look forward to here, and it's one thing to be quick in the qualifying, but you've got to be quick in the race as well. As actually Liam Duval, well, according to I think that's Liam Duval apparently went a little bit faster, so maybe McGorgy had a time deleted, but on our timing screen it said he was 4 tenths up, so who's to know? But Duval's in second from McGorgy.
They
are the practice results. That's why. So the timing screen's having a little bit of a moment there. But I was about to say, that seems a little bit closer. There we go. That's also practice results.
I tell you what, we'll go through, because I mean, we pretty much know what it is. It's McGorgy, P1 118.878. There's 4 tenths then to Duval and Michael Ayres, with Fabrizio Gobi P4 for TX3, Dylan Platt 5th. TR Geeks, we saw him having a spin at the end of qualifying. Sandeep Singh is 6th for Road to Formula. Giuseppe Ragusa, P7 for TX3. Joseph Hurlock is P8 for Red Arrow. Damien Kardash, we saw pop himself into the top 10 late on Gallery 82, P9. And Michael Francesconi, not the cleanest of sessions for Michael, P10 though for TG. Alexei Ho, reserve at Red Arrow with a good job. They looked like the qualifying results that were popping up. There they are. Yep, there's the top 10.
I just can't get over that lap from McGorgy. Unbelievable. That is a statement of intent for this upcoming season. I mean, it's round 1 and Owen is clearly put in a lot of work over the winter, because that is just a dominant qualifying session.
Absolutely, it was really good. I mean, it remains to be seen what sort of setup is on it for the race to come. There is the top 10 as we were confirming, and then into the next 10, Leho, as we said, reserve at Red Arrow P11, Christian Francesconi, TG P12, Remco De Zeu in the second, Fusion P13, ahead of Paul van der Voort, Alexander Ragozza, Lorenzo Capolini, Mattia Markovic, Silva Joffa, and Dominic Hodashavin. And to round out the grid, we've got Riboli, another reserve, Faber, PZZW, Van Bussel, Zongoli, Hoyt, and the last of the reserves, Wazniowski, to round out the grid. A full complement for the first round of this season. So, 51 laps are on their way, but first we've got 10 minutes of warm-up. The drivers, of course, have been in full quali mode, low fuels, soft tyres. This is just a chance for them to get into a settled rhythm ahead of the race, heavier fuel loads, just to have a bit of a relax, I guess, before the race starts. Not all drivers will go out. Some drivers will try and pump in the laps on the harder tyres, on the higher fuel loads, maybe harder tyres. There might be a few little strategic things going on in the next 10 minutes. But yeah, so 51 laps will follow that, and we will talk you all the way through that. But as promised, we will go through the teams and drivers. There are a few differences, so of course, as a career ladder in GPVWC, teams will go up and down depending on performance from each championship. So the big guns from last season, your Stacks, THR, Super Venturi, they've gone up into Super League. You can catch them on Thursday morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. And then teams would have been lost downwards as well. But joining us this season, a TX3, who had a stunning session there with Gobi up in P4. We've also got Valley coming up, PZZW, and Gallery 82. Now, you'll know those 4 teams very well, Ross. What can we expect from them this season?
I mean, it is probably the biggest real jump you'll experience in the GPVWC ladder is coming from Formula Sprint 1 into Superlights, because it's a very different car, and it's just a bit of a higher level. It's not about going Formula Sprint 2 to Formula Sprint 1, and even from Academy to Formula Sprint 2, because they're all very similar cars. They're kind of racing level. It's more about gaining experience in R Factor 2 and in GPVWC at that point. But coming into Superlights, that's where, you know, it's suddenly a much faster car. You're facing much stiffer competition. Some of these drivers would have been in Super League before, potentially, or have been around the block for a very long time and have a lot of experience under their belt. So without sounding cruel, you know, don't expect them to be going out and winning races from the get-go. But, you know, those are all very, very strong teams. I mean, Gallery 82 is a team that I'm very familiar with. They're always perform very strong. Same with PZZW, with Galka and Faber, two very strong drivers, of course. Janowski in the car today in place of Galka. A few reserves filling in for the first race of the season. Valley Esports as well, another team that's always around wherever you're looking in sim racing, whether it's in GPVWC or it's in any of the other millions of championships that are on R-Factor 2. They've always got a car in the field, so they are a team that has a lot of experience all over the shop, and they'll be looking for a strong season and some great qualifying in there as well. Michael Ayres put in a splendid job, so I think there'll be ones to watch potentially out of all three of those, but we'll have to wait and see what's really going to happen. But I think those three teams, they were very strong last year in FS1. I'm not expecting them to come in and immediately be challenging for the title and setting the world on fire, but they are very strong teams. They've got great drivers, they've got a great team base as well. Give them a few rounds to get used to the championship, get used to racing this car, and I think we could be seeing some very, very strong results from all of them.
So if you weren't paying attention last season, if you're new to the championship, we had a barnstormer last year, 3 drivers in with a chance of winning the championship in the final 2 rounds. The last year's winner of this race, actually, a year tomorrow, believe it or not, was Luke Maguire. He came 3rd in the standings at the end of the season, behind Szymon Frelik, who was 27 points behind Jan Grankvist, who was the eventual champion. Now, Jan missed 2 races with pedal box issues back at his base, so that's how good Jan was. And even with losing those 3 drivers from the series, we've still got the grid we've got now. Sandeep Singh, as I said earlier, highest returning driver from last season, 6th in the standings. But even, we've mentioned Liam Duval coming back, having not raced in the series for a couple of seasons. 2020, he romped to it, to the title. 10 race wins in the first 10 races. Didn't bother with the second half of the season, didn't need to, went up into Super League. And then behind him, still 27 points ahead. 3rd in that championship was Michael Francesconi, who's come back as well. So that is the strength and depth that this series has, let alone the rest of the career ladder. Just to go through a few bits and pieces for the race, Ross. Similar things apply as in real world F1 type thing. So obviously tyre strategies, having to start on the same compound in the top 10. Just talk us through those little niches that we can expect in the race for those who are a bit unfamiliar.
So we've had a bit of an update to the tyre compounds coming into this season and 2023 in general. So we've adopted much more of a Formula 1 style system where you've kind of got your C1 to C5 compounds instead of just having your soft, your mediums and your hards. They will be referred to as the soft, medium and hard at their respective races. So, if you're not that much into understanding how tyre compounds work, you don't really need to worry about that. But just know there are actually 5 different compounds, but racing, it's soft, medium, hard. That's all that really matters. And of course you've got your intermediates and your wets as well for when the heavens open. And of course that's to come into play with these new cars as well that we're bringing in for this season, much more akin to the current Formula 1 regulations as well. So be very excited to see how these things race. But apart from that, it's all kind of your typical GPVWC stuff, really. I mean, I'm sure most of you watching along have been here before, and well, if you haven't, firstly, hello and welcome. Hope you're enjoying the show so far, and if you'd like to find out more, then please head over to gpvwc.com. You can find out if you fancy getting involved or just want to come along to the Discord and meet some of the drivers. If you're a big fan, we'd be more than happy to have you along. But in terms of that, it's essentially your standard GPVWC season, really. 16 races. We've all been through the calendar already, so yeah, not much really else to say about that one. Just going to be interesting to see how all these new drivers cope as well with the new cars. So even for those with experience in this championship, because we have these new cars in, I'm sure the drivers have all done a lot of work in the off season and have got them down familiar and all those sort of things. But there still might be a few maybe aren't so comfortable driving this type of machinery where most of the downforce now comes from the floor of the car. Maybe some of them are still a bit cautious coming into the racing aspect. So there might be a few drivers who maybe take a race or two just to kind of warm up to the car and shake off that off-season rust as well. So I'm not expecting some drivers out there to have their finest performance, and then, you know, I couldn't tell you any names, but, you know, just expect maybe some drivers who you'd expect to be running a little bit better, they potentially may not be having their greatest season or greatest couple of races in the world, should I say. The point system that we run here in Superlights, of course, it's only the one race. You know, we offer points down to 15th place, so it's 25 points for the winner, 20 points for second place, 16 for third, and then going down to 15th, it's 13, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc, etc. And there's also a point for fastest lap on offer, so a maximum of 26 points for the winner if they're able to secure that fastest lap as well. So that's kind of the basic regulations to wrap your head around if you needed refreshing, or if you are new to GPVWC and to Superlights in general. Of course, this being the second tier of the pyramid, should I say, here at GPVWC. And well, this is one of the big boys, really. This is considered where, you know, it's no longer about learning, improving your skills. This is really where you have to show you've got what it takes to be a top sim racing driver, a top R Factor 2 driver. And this is where the competition gets very, very serious. Just 1 minute left of the warm-up to go. The checkered flag will be out at that point. You'll probably be seeing people hurtling themselves into the barrier at that point, as they usually do, just for the last minute. Bit of fun, but last chance to check your setup, make sure everything on your sim rig is working as expected. You know, last few words with the engineer, and then there'll be a slight moment where the game has a bit of a glitch out as it shifts between the warm-up and the race sessions. Then we'll jump out onto the grid, a quick formation lap, and then it's lights out for 51 laps here at Imola. And well, who knows what to expect. We've got Imola looking like he is absolutely flying, but again, it's one thing to be fast in qualifying, it is another thing to be fast in the race, and especially with such a long run down to Tamburello as well. Anything can happen with the slipstream.
Couldn't have said any of that better myself, Ross.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding stuff. So, as you said, coming to the end of warm-up, we've already had a bit of racing. Here's Faber with one of the fusions behind him. That must be Deseo with the Wild in the pit. So Deseo's already made a few moves on Palm as well. Palm was running the harder tyres. There's mediums on Faber and there's softs on the fusion. So an array of different ideas going through warm-up there. Of course, all could be vital come to the race. Probably a two-stop strategy. If last year is anything to go by, but maybe some people can try a few cheeky one-stoppers or three-stoppers. Where you never know really with this championship. It always changes, and every time you think you can guess what's going to happen, it all goes out the window and carnage ensues with outstanding racing, and strategies that just really don't make sense in your brain if you'd come up with it before. So, as we said, first Superlights race of the season from the Autodromo Enzo Edina Ferrari is coming right up. 51 laps of the Imola circuit, the first of 16 rounds, and then we'll do it all again on Thursday with the Super League.
Absolutely. We're expecting it to be a two-stop strategy here today. You know, with whatever tyre combination, that would be soft, medium, hard, medium, soft is probably more likely. A lot of drivers in this series very, very good at eking the absolute maximum out of the tyres. Although you could pull off a one-stop, we believe, if you're brave. So just keep an eye out on the strategy fronts. Of course, we'll see what tyres everybody is starting on in just a moment's time when we begin to move out onto the grid. Of course, if you're just joining us, Magorgi with a scorching pole position, over 0.4 of a second up over anybody else at the end of the qualifying session. So we'll be very, very interested to see how he's going to do come the race, because that pace suggests that his car is absolutely on rails. But long run down into Tamburello, a lot of fast drivers out there who prefer the racing conditions to qualifying hot laps, as well as the cars begin to make their way out onto the grid. So we'll have to wait and see. Just a few short moments and we'll be underway for our qualifying laps. Make sure to get your predictions in. Who do you think is going to take the opening round of the season here in Superlight at the Autodromo Enzo Edina Ferrari, commonly known to everybody in the English-speaking world as Imola? Grey skies still overhead, but no rain expected temperature looking fairly mild, so shouldn't be too shouldn't affect the tyres too much, should I say, as the final cars slot their way onto the grid spots. And now we should be underway on our formation lap.
We absolutely are. By the way, just worth pointing out, Szymon Frelik, we mentioned him. He is with us this year. We've recruited him.
Hello, Szymon.
Yeah, we had to rope him in, didn't we? So, yeah, formation lap, first one of the year, excitement building. Let's run through the starting grid for round one of the Superlights Championship. Ewan McGorgy, fantastic qualifying. P1 for Road Formula Racing ahead of Leon Duval, returning with Fusion Racing. Michael Ayres, P3 for Valley Esports. Fabrizio Gobi for TX3, P4. Dylan Platt had a bit of an issue at the end of qualifying, but starts P5 ahead of Sandeep Singh. Seppi Ragusa in P7 and Joseph Herlock in P8. Damien Kardash and Michael Francesconi round out the top 10. They all have to start on the same tyres as they finished in qualifying. And Alex Leho, reserve for Red Arrow in P11. And Christian Francesconi, P12. Ranko Deseo, P13 in second Fusion. Heiger Perm, P14. Van der Voort, P15. And Ragosa, P16. And Capellini, Markovic, Joffe and Horoshavin round out the top 20. Massi Riboli, P21 in the second Valley ahead of Adrian Faber, Jari van Boezel and Flavio Zongoli on debut, P24 for HG. Killen Hoyt is P25 Team Ballas, and Wozniacki is reading is in the pits at the moment but should line up P26. Maybe it's a pit at start. A bit of a break of Parc Ferme potentially. So round the final two corners on the formation lap very quickly. Ross, predictions?
Honestly, Ewan, I couldn't say. I mean, McGorgy's looking fast, but he's on that hard compound tyre, according to our graphic.
He'll be on softs.
He'll be on softs, so ignore that. But so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you know, my brain wants to say McGorgy's going to run away at the front, but who could tell? But this is what I've been waiting for, you, and to finally get underway. The front-running cars pulling into their grid slots. It's been a long few months without Superlights, but we're back.
And look at the angle Ewan McGorgy has taken in his grid spot. He is already thinking about straightening up that first little kink to the right on the run down to Tamburello. He knows what Leon Duval can do off the line. This is going to be electric. Final cars lining up on the grid then. That is Killian Hoyt at the back. We're going to have lights on in a moment. GPVWC Superlights returns for 2023. First round at Imola. McGorgy on pole. Lights are on. 3 of them, 4 of them. Look for the 5th. Don't stare. And Superlights is away. And I tell you what, it's a fantastic start from Michael Ayres if he's timed it right, because he is already alongside McGorgy for the lead. Was it a jump shot start from the Valley driver? We've got cars off in the background, a bit of dirt. Up the inside, Michael Ayres takes the lead at the moment. McGorgy P2, Duval P3, but there is chaos behind, cars skipping across the grass. Everyone has got through, pointing in the right direction though. Carnage in midfield, there's one of the TX3 cars in the mix with, yeah, everyone pointing all in the right direction, which is brilliant to see. Herlock up into P6, a great time, but McGorgy's registered in P5. What happened to him, McGorgy? Did he have contact with Ayres through the first couple of corners? It's Ayres from Duval, Gobi, Singh and McGorgy.
Yeah, I think McGorgy might have had to run across the grass coming through to the final left-hander through Tamburello. He's dropped down as Ayres now leads on lap 1, but Duval is right behind him, Gobi and Singh as well. Don't be expecting to see team orders. I'm not expecting Singh to be darting out of the way for McGorgy, despite McGorgy looking like the faster driver in qualifying, but super start from Ayres. Super brave as well, down into Tamburello. Just got everything hooked up right, and despite the fact that there are a few cars running off the road, actually Sergio and everybody getting through in one piece, which is great to see. It will be Ayres who leads the first lap of this race and of the 2023 Superlight season. 50 laps left to go. Oh, McGorgy already lining up a move on his teammate. Darts down to the inside, coming into Tamburello, using the slipstream to maximum effect. And he will have that move done before he even gets to the corner. Ragusa as well. Down the inside goes Damien Kardash. Super brave from Kardash down the outside of Tamburello. Oh, brilliant overtaking action already. I mean, these regulations were brought about in theory to improve racing, and we're on lap 2 and already looking like Alex Laho is going to put on a super line demonstration. No, he touches the gravel and Laho gets out of shape, just pushes. Oh, still a little bit too much for the car. Contact between Platt there, and I believe it was Francesconi, and off the road as well. I believe that's Dylan Platt running wide. Ah, disaster for the TR Geeks car. He's dropped down to 17th just after a slight touching of wheels. And there we go. There's the first axe in the race. Platt's off into the wall. I believe it's Capolini who's gone with him. Platt will surely be out of this race. And Capolini, I didn't see the damage, but he went around as well. So our first incident of the season, the Zongoli gets a penalty. So it might have been Zongoli that touched there with Dylan Platt, and Dylan Platt has retired. So a disappointing early end from the opening races. Michael Ayres in the Valet Esports car. I said don't expect too much from the Valet guys, don't expect too much from the Gallery 82 guys. They're putting on a brilliant display so far. Michael Ayres leads this race. He's trying to pull a gap on Liam Diwali, sets the fastest lap of the race for good measure, a 1:23.397. Can he hold on for that lead for much longer, or will the DRS train, now that DRS is active from this lap, we could get the small flaps open at the rear wing as Ragota tries to move down the outside. Wow, super brave from Ragota and Van der Voort. There's lots of trust being placed in this colleague to not outbrake himself. Alexander Ragota up to 11th place. Michael Ayres leads the way on lap 3.
Yeah, so it looks like Dylan Platt might have dropped down the field as Ragota goes wide. So the two guys that we've seen go wide there through Villeneuve were Ragota and Leho on the lap before. They're both on medium tyres. They're the highest medium tyre runners. It looks like McGorgy had in fact gone across, had a bit of a slide with contact with Ayres. That is what happened at Tamburello. Had to cut across on the grass. I think Platt might have had a similar issue because Platt had plummeted as well. Platt was in the top 5 and he's already back down the field as there as we can see. So he was put into that situation and then never really recovered. Maybe couldn't cool his head down after the first contact, turned in on Zongoli, and Zongoli in the end found himself in trouble as well. But a bit more calm now as we come on to lap 4. It's Ayres from Deval Gorby. McGorgy's got back ahead of Singh as we saw, and Joseph Herlock's had a good start, kept himself out of trouble, P6, Kardash P7, Ragusa P8, and then the Francesconis, the Michael variety in front of Christian.
Yeah, I mean, it's all calm for the moment, but don't expect it to be calm for much longer because we've got the DRS now active, and we can see there just everybody swarming all over each other as Dizot holds P16 for the time being. Looks like at the front of the pack, we've got the front 4 of Ayres, Deval, Gobi, and McGorgy breaking away as Joseph Herlock moves in front of Singh, 4P5. So we've got a 4-car battle for the lead on lap 4, but everywhere throughout the pack, you've just got these little packs of intense racing as Van Boekel trying, gets a big wobble on, great save from Jerry Van Boekel in the Drake racing car on the exit of the hairpin as they head up the hill. It's a very, very steep hill. I don't think the camera angles really do it justice on the run up to Piratella. It is super, super steep, and then diving back down as Gobi under attack now from McGorgy as they head down into the penultimate corner of Ravazza, that entire complex rather called Ravazza 1 or Ravazza 2 should I say. And coming onto the main straight, these guys looking much, much closer already, although Ayres has managed to pull a little bit of a gap on Deval. So Deval, I think, will be too far back to try the overtake down into Tamburello. But McGorgy and Gobi very close to each other, and indeed close to Deval as well. So maybe, just maybe, if one of them's feeling brave, but looking at it, I don't think we're going to see any changes for position this time by Ragusa, though maybe trying to have a look on Damien Kardash. Does he have a go? He pokes a nose, but maybe just trying to fill the mirrors of the driver in front, try and put some psychological pressure. This is a move that's surely going to go off as Silver Joffa gets the door closed. A little bit of contact between him and Adrian Faber, but they managed to keep it together as Dizot now. And Van Boekel also banging wheels, and Dizot almost goes off the track. Robbins racing, I suppose. Van Boekel goes through. This is brilliant stuff. We're only on lap 5, Ewan.
Yeah, the drag going through into P16, the dragon breathing there. as he got through. The problem is that his teammate Van der Voort dropped from P12 to P15 at the same time. Not ideal for Tom Van der Voort. Back up front, look at this train of cars. Ayres, De Waal, Gorby and McGorgy. Herlock's got past Singh behind as well, so Singh's struggling early on in the race. But this is a feature of Sandeep Singh. We see that he does pick up speed through the race with strategy. Interesting to see how that one plays out. Superlights, we tend to see these trains at the start and then all kicks off after the first pit stop. Let's see how these guys play it. Gorby and De Waal hunting, McGorgy wanting to make up for what happened at the start. Look how wide De Waal was as well, really flirting with the gravel through the second part of Rivatsa. But if anything, it looks like Gorby's more likely to make a move, and he will look to the outside into Tamburello. Lots of late breakers. Ayres a little bit of a sitting duck as well with no DRS, and Gorby into P2. De Waal has to settle for third at the moment. That looks rapid in a straight line, does a TX3, because Ragusa is also making moves. Just like Ragusa, as we see him clambering all over the back of Damien Kardash.
I mean, that's what's part of fun about this Imola circuit is, of course, you've got lots of medium and low speed corners over the rest of the lap, but then you've got that big, long, not quite a straight front straight. I believe it's over 1.5 miles long off the top, maybe not that long, but it's a decent length. And if you've got a low downforce setup, you can really benefit yourself with the DRS down into turn one. That seems to be the route that the TX3 cars have taken, maybe not so much for everybody else. As Gobi now sets his eyes on the valet car in the lead. And as they come through, Variante Auto bouncing over the curves, a little bit wide from Gobi as he comes out of the second pot of that chicane. Michael Ayres, though, still just holding on to the lead at this point as well. On lap 6, this is where you've got to start thinking about managing your tyres as well. How long do you want to take them? As Ayres gets it very wrong, coming into Rivatsa 1, gets very wide. But he will have the momentum coming onto the straight, but Fabrizio Gobi will have the DRS, but De Waal behind also with the... Look at the speed that Gobi's got in a straight line. I saw 300 kilometers an hour there already. Doesn't even need to worry about breaking. Gobi to the lead, about halfway down the main straight. That is as easy as they come, and great stuff from the virtual drivers by TX3 driver. Raguta is still in this huge battle with Damien Kardash. Kardash putting on a sublime defensive performance already. Raguta having a little bit of a look on Francesconi as he comes in. Oh, that's Joffa off the road coming into Tamburello. I think I saw another car. Yes, there is another car, and that is Van der Voort, I believe, that's gone off the road with him. So maybe contact between the pair of them, but both seem to be okay. Maybe just a little bit of wheel banging. Let's see if we can see what happened here on the replay. So here is Silver Joffa coming down the main straight. They've both got DRS, him and Van der Voort behind. Van der Voort looks like he's going to have got the run. Pulls to the outside. Oh, and I don't think Joffa just didn't see him. Just that the two coming together, touching wheels, and both of them sliding off the racing surface, but getting back on it pretty quickly. Unfortunately, though, Joffa didn't lose a single position, and Van der Voort did lose one to his teammate, so he's lost out big time there, unfortunately. As look at the gap that Gobi's pulled already on Michael Ayres. That car is absolutely rapid.
Yeah, but how well is he looking after his tyres? It has to be said that Michael Ayres isn't really looking after his tyres the way that thing's sliding around in the final sector, and he's going to be under all sorts of pressure from Liam De Waal. But how well can that TX3 look after his tyres? De Waal to the inside, not too much defence from Ayres. He's sort of resigned, isn't he, to the fact that he's going to lose that position. Down into P3 for the Valley. Racing car, esports car even. De Waal into P2, but Gobi already out of DRS range. And that is the move by Ragusa past Kardash, this time after 3 laps into P7. And the other Gallery 82, Ragozza, making a bit of contact, look, with Christian Francesconi, and he gets passed by Leho just to go through, because we haven't so far. Medium tyre runners, Ragozza P10, Leho P11, Faber P13, Van Boosel P15, Riboli P19, Horashavin P21, Hoyt P22, and then the rest, then Porm, Dezeu are both on hard.
It seems to be pretty soft, so we'll be seeing those front runners probably not too far away from coming in. Over the next 10 laps, I'll be expecting the majority of them to come in, so they're probably locked themselves into a 2-stopper, as Ayres losing out to De Waal as well. McGorgy maybe trying to close in. Ayres after that blistering opening lap either just hasn't quite got the pace that he maybe expected at the start of the race, or he's just watching his tyres. These top 4 all very close, it must be said, as Francesconi late on the brakes I think he might have had to take a little bit of avoiding action there to avoid running into the back of Laho, who's doing a superb job coming in as the reserve driver for this evening. And, coming into the first round of the season as a reserve, that's difficult as Kardash. Raguta off the road. Kardash slides back through. So Raguta took a while to get in front of Kardash and then immediately made a mistake under braking at Tamburello and slid straight on and has lost a lot of time as a result. So Kardash can hold on to that P7 for the time being. There is Christian Francesconi after nearly slamming into the back of Faber, who's now following Laho very, very closely, and almost again, well, these two very, very close out on the racetrack. Laho gets a bit of a wobble coming out of the Tosa hairpin, and as they fly up towards Piratella. Luckily, the dirty air, of course, with these new regulations, not as bad as it was last year, so you can follow another car a lot better through the corners, which is why we're seeing so many cars running so closely, especially through the tight and twisty middle and final sectors as they bomb their way up towards Aqua Minerale. And just in front of this pack as well is Ragota. There we see Liam Duval in second place. He actually might be outside of DRS range. We'll see in a minute. Yeah, Liam Duval actually fell out of DRS range, coming to the DRS detection point. So Gobi, although he's within the DRS range now, as there we see coming out of the pits, I believe that's Zongoli. Gobi's actually lost time there, so Ayres has gained massively onto P2. Gobi's broken the DRS. That is crucial on lap 10. Oh, there goes Raguta around. I think Kardash might have shoved him off the road there at first glance. It looked very tight. Raguta at 360 in the gravel gets it going once again, but more woes between Raguta and Damien Kardash. I think we might be seeing... Oh, no! There was that Van Buiten's Joffa, I believe it was. So a few cars in the wars down at Tamburello. I think we might be seeing a few stewards' reports after this race. Here's what's happened with Giuseppe Raguta. So coming down, got the DRS. We know the TX3 cars are absolutely rapid in a straight line. I mean, look at the speedo, 310, 312. And he pulls, oh no, he just missed his braking. I think just missed his braking and then slammed the brakes a bit harder, maybe locked the rears, and round he went. So that's actually on Raguta there. What happened with Van Boekel? Again, similar thing in the DRS. Where does he go from here? Look at the speedo, 310, 311, 3 to 11 kilometers an hour. Oh, now that's interesting. So that's why Joffert's gone round. Joffert having a few internet issues there, it would seem, and he's lagged in and out of Jerry Van Buesel, so neither driver to blame there, and just got touched around as a result of his internet maybe semi-disconnecting, so a big shame there for Sylvie Joffert and into the gravel, but I'm sure he'll be able to keep going on lap 11 of 51. Make sure to keep your comments coming in if you're watching along, wherever it may be on YouTube, or keep them coming in on Twitch as well, using the hashtag GPVWC and hashtag Superlights. We'll be following all of your comments as the race goes on, but it's been superb so far. If you're just joining us, welcome to the opening round of the Superlights season in 2023.
Yeah, so still eyes on Van Boekel, who's now on the back of Adrian Faber, who is on the medium tyres as well, of course. Back up front, Naval still not making any inroads. It looks like, in honesty, that Fusion is better out the traction zones and closes in, because we saw he actually closed in down the main straight. It's just by the end of the main straight he hasn't got the speed to keep that sort of closing speed, I guess. So that TX3 car is rapid in a straight line, and Gobi has made all the use of it. Ayres is actually keeping nicely in touch now. Maybe he's just found his level at the moment with how that Valley Esports car is set up, and he's regathered himself. He's back in P3 and actually closing in to Liam Duval with that DRS. So those two cars are pretty well balanced, as does McGorgy in the Road to Formula behind Yellows in Sector 3. That's the Zayu dropping behind Koroshovin and Joffe and Hoyt. So I think the Zayu's had an issue. Here's Van Boekel up the inside into Tamburello, thinks better of it, but plants a seed of doubt in Faber's mind. A bit of a slide for both of them, and I think Faber just about holds on, but now the second dry car of Van der Voort is joining the party as well, and they've done well to just keep all of that clean, really. As, yeah, into Tosa, no look there, so all remains the same at the moment. 12 laps gone. Gobi leads Duval by 1.2.
Yeah, so it's all, I'd like to say it's calmed down, but we're seeing action everywhere you look out on circuit. Despite the few spins and incidents we've had so far, it's still been a relatively clean race by sim racing standards, as Owen McGorgy heading down into Ravazza, maybe trying to set up a move on Michael Ayres, who's dropped out of the DRS of Duval as well. So this opening pack starting to become undone, but look how close Owen McGorgy is. The Valley Colour gets the better traction out of the corner, but Owen McGorgy with the DRS will surely be looking to line up a move, pulls to the outside, and yep, there you go, that'll be done before the corner, and it is done before the corner. Owen McGorgy up to P3 after his incident on the opening lap. So back onto the podium places goes your pole sitter. Now let's see, does he have any pace left in the tyres, or is it going to be playing the long game for the Road to Formula Racing driver? Of course, runner-up in the FS1 Championship last year is Jerry Van Boekel. Tries to go for a move on Adrian Faber all the way to the outside of the track. This would be a superb move if he pulled it off. They touch. He does get through as Faber goes off the road and is going to be sliding behind him as well as Van der Voort. Just a bit of a racing incident there on first glance, but Van Boekel does squeeze through, coming through Tamarello. But again, you've got to remember, a lot of these drivers will be racing on single screen monitors. Their vision is inherently limited, even more so than that of a racing driver in a very tight and claustrophobic single-seater cockpit. You know, there's obviously guys out there who are racing in VR or with triple screens or whatever, but many of these guys will be out there with a single monitor that may be very limited in size, so what they can see is very, very small. You have to give them the benefit and the doubts of situations like that. You just may not have seen him. As we go back to McGorgy, who's already opening up a little bit of a gap to Ayres, who will have the DRS, but McGorgy's also got the DRS on Duval now. So McGorgy looking like he's going to be putting in a charge as the stint wears on.
Yeah, back up to P3. Obviously, the little bit of contact on lap one with Michael Ayres. So the top four now we feel have sort of put themselves in, as Kardash is the first to pit, then pit stop window open, and Kardash is the first for Gallery 82. Let's see what that triggers. The top 10 were all nicely spaced out. I mean, look at the gap between Herlock and Singh already. As actually Singh's closed in slightly as I say that, but Kardash, he's gone to the hards. So that is likely to be potentially, I mean, he might be able to string that into one stop. I imagine it will be another stop as well. But if you're thinking he's done, what, 13 laps on soft? Yeah, that's going to be another stop, isn't it? So Kardash first bit out in P20, and he was behind. He was behind Singh, wasn't he? So you're looking at about 28 seconds. So anyone coming out is going to be behind Riboli at the moment of the top four. So that comes into the strategy as well. Where are you going to filter out into the traffic? McGorgy's rapid at this stage of the race. I don't know whether that setup is down to the race pace, but he is rapid. He's closing beautifully to the back of Liam Duval already. I'm expecting the move to be made here. Rattling through the pit straight down the inside, and again, like Michael Ayres before him, no real defence put into place by Liam Duval. Joseph Herlock reacting, I think, to Kardash's pit stop.
Was that McGorgy? No, it wasn't. It was Herlock, and I do apologise there. So the early pit stops happening, so these guys will absolutely have to stop again, we believe. Again, new season, new tyres, new cars. No one's really quite sure about how the compounds are going to last and how these drivers can make them go. So we'll have to see where Herlock comes out in regards to Kardash. Van der Voort into the pits as well. I believe that's Capellini through. Does Kardash squeeze through as well, or is Joseph Herlock going to get the place? Yes, he does. So Herlock has made himself in front of Damien Kardash in P18. As I think the attention now focuses as McGorgy through to P2. You know, when do these guys up the front start to come in? We've got this opening pack that are covered by about 3.5 seconds to 3 seconds. It's fluctuating around there. But, you know, a bit of a gap back to Singh as well, and then Francesconi in P6. As Michael Ayres actually has had a really, really strong middle sector. So I wonder if Duval's made a mistake somewhere as they come around the final corner of Ravazza 2. But now you're going to be thinking, when do these guys come into the pits and speak of the devil? Duval in. Duval, the first of the leaders to box. And we'll have to wait and see what tyres he goes onto. Does he go onto the mediums? Does he go onto the hards? As he pulls in to his virtual pit box, of course, no pit crew to be found in R Factor 2, but the hard compound tyre goes on. looks like it's going to be a pretty decent stop. He pulls away, so he's now got the undercut and the fresh tyres. How do Gobi, McGorgy and Ayres respond?
Well, you could see by Duval the way he was dropping down there. Ayres was all over the back of him. He was losing his tyres as Faber makes a move back past Van Bossel. So Duval's going to come out just behind him in front of Riboli, crucially. So that extra lap or two did right. Actually, no, Riboli's just pipped him into turn one. Oh, and that is the drag going around. That is Van Bossel. So he's been living dangerously. Don't take out cars behind. Phew. So Riboli and Duval avoid the spinning drag back onto the track. But Duval now has to get past Riboli for this to work for him. On those hard tyres, the first stop, you could see the tyres were just falling away. Ayres was all over the back of him. Gorgie had just got through pretty easily. Compared to the guys around him, I mean, McGorgy looks as if he could keep going, and look at the wash across the front wing that Duval experienced through Piratella. And now he'll have the same through Akko Minerali. He has to get through into turn one on the next lap. You have to fill. Gorby still 1.3 ahead of McGorgy. That really hasn't changed, so those two look pretty even. It's just I think McGorgy's got the tyre life at the moment. As Ayres pits, he thinks he may be able to get ahead of Duval, who's been stuck behind his teammate. This is fascinating.
Yeah, so Ayres comes in, and our eyes turn to where the others come out as Raguzza in as well. So the TX3 driver, surely Gobi's going to be coming in soon.
Duval past Riboli.
He has, so Duval's through on Riboli. Or, no, Ayres out in front of Duval.
Just got him.
No, yeah, there he goes, yes, so there we go.
him.
Duval gets in front of Ayres just. So, now we turn to Gobi McGorgy. What do? Do they try and extend their stint as much as possible? Do they react to Duval? It seems like the undercut is a little bit powerful here because Ayres did close up to the back of Duval there. Lost a bit of time in Tamburello, but it is very, very close out there. As there you see your race leader for the majority of the race now on lap 17 of 51, Fabrizio Gobi, full virtual drivers by TX3. And we are awaiting the pit stop strategy for the leaders. We've already had Duval and Ayres in. Let's see what Gobi and McGorgy do this lap. Does the leader bite? No. Does McGorgy bite? No. So those two going another lap. Very interesting development here.
Yeah, they don't need to because they're fast enough at the moment. The interesting thing for me, and I'd like to see it, I think Ayres is on mediums compared to Duval and hard. So if Ayres is on mediums, that's confidence. I think he is. So if Valley can get those mediums to work in this middle stint, let's see what they do at the end. But there's Leho and Rigotta pitting as well this time. A few more in the midfield starting to pit. A few of the medium-tired runners as well. That's Faber coming in, who have been battling. So Pulm up to P6 on the hards. He hasn't pitted yet, of course, but Ayres on those medium tyres is a bit of a cat amongst pigeons. Gorby and McGorgy, though, look pretty settled. What are they doing? A 124.2. Duval on new hards 123.1. So actually they are going to lose time. However, that will flip-flop back around at the end of the race when the strategy flips itself with new, fresher tyres and different compounds. So it's really fascinating to see how this is going to play out. There's a few different ways of going, and the top four are all doing it completely differently.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how it's all going to unfold. As Ayres and Duval closing up as they come through down the bottom of the hill before heading back up. Jeff cars are just so fast through there, aren't they? It's a real spectacle. See, there's McGorgy and Gobi. They're both in. Leaders both into the pits. Where do they come out in respect to one another? What ties do they go out onto, and where do they come out in respect to Duval and Michael Ayres? So that's Gobi's in for mediums. Okay, that's interesting. McGorgy comes in and he's on the hards. So split strategy between the two just come in. Gobi does, of course, get out first as they came into the pit in that order. Singh will now lead the race from Francesconi. Duval coming through now. Where are the other two? And there is Gobi. And there, I believe, is McGorgy. McGorgy's lost out big time. He's behind both Ayres and Duval, and Hygo Poom's now in the way as well. McGorgy is the big loser here in the pit stop battle. He's dropped back to net fourth as Hygo Poom now splitting this battle for the lead. Of course, currently in fourth place is racing for Singh and the two Francesconis to box And he's not going to get out of the way either. He's racing for position as far as he's concerned. So this is going to be a massive roadblock for Ayres and McGorgy. Drama here on lap 19. Ayres looking for a way through. Can he find the gap on the run into the top of the hill and then heading down? Anything will do into Acqua Minerale as he's trying to go round the outside. Wow, that is a superb move from Michael Ayres. Super bravery on the fresh rubber around the outside. Down at the bottom of the hill and into Acqua Minerale. Can McGorgy do anything? He's going to be losing time every corner. He is stuck behind Hago Poom, and of course he will get the DRS, and he should blow right past him, but it's still time he can't afford to be losing on that fresh, hard rubber compared to Hago's 20 lap old now rubber. And he's still stuck behind him. He's going to have to use the DRS down into Tamburello. So this could really hurt Omagorgi in the long run. And just to rub salt in the wound, Poom's got a great run out of Ravazza as well. So McGorgy now with the DRS. He should surely be getting through here. Here comes the DRS. Here comes the slipstream. He's going to go to the inside. And no! McGorgy can't get through! McGorgy's still stuck behind Hago Poom. Unbelievable. Omagorgi, your pole sitter on fresh rubber, just can't get through the traffic. He's losing shed loads of time. This could be crucial in deciding the result of this race as he's trying to dive down the inside now. That's super brave into Tosa. Can he get it made on the exit? Bit of a wobble for good measure. They're still side by side on the run up the hill into Piratella. McGorgy will have the inside. This is brave. This is brave. McGorgy gets it done. It took longer than it should have done, but McGorgy is through. But he's lost 1.5 seconds to Michael Ayres. He's outside of the DRS zone, and he has got a huge chunk of time to deal with now as Singh has come into the pits. So now we're seeing Gobi trying to get through Francesconi. As Christian Francesconi, that is for P2, and just behind them Liam Duval as well. Oh, there's drama with all the traffic and the leaders. Francesconi trying to defend again. He's racing for position. Duval and Gobi nearly touching as they head through Ravazza. This is scintillating action here at Imola, and there goes Francesconi ducking into the pits. Gobi will get DRS, and look at Michael Ayres. He's right there as well. The three of them will get DRS. Is anyone going to be close enough to make a move? I believe Duval and Gobi might be potentially happening. Duval moves to the outside. No, Gobi covers sufficiently to the inside, and Tamburello, the top three, holding stage for the time being. But this is close between all of them. Traffic has created chaos for the moment. Omagorgi out of the fight for the lead, but with those three fighting up the front, I'm sure he'll be clawing his way back in no time. Gobi, Duval and Ayres separated by less than a second.
What the problem McGorgy's got is that Gobi is on medium, so he'll pull Duval along with him. We know that TX3 car's so fast in a straight line. He'll pull Duval with him, who's on hard tyres. Ayres is on medium, so he should be able to keep up and stay within the DRS. And we've got McGorgy, who's on hard tyres, and now 3 seconds down and losing time all the way. But I just, from Paul, I don't understand what he was playing at as Capellini. He's trying to fend off the attack from the drag into Piratella. That was brave. No, from Paul, I understand that he's fighting for position, he doesn't want to lose time, but you know, the defense into Tosa, especially, you're just losing yourself too much time there. Pointless, really, pointless. So that really hurt McGorgy. Now, Paul has also lost plenty of time by doing that, and life in those hard tyres that he could have carried a bit further. Lap 22, Gobi on the new medium tyres, fastest lap of the race so far, using that DRS from the back marker last time, and this time as well, too far ahead for Duval to do anything. 30 laps to go. There is Michael Francesconi, who pitted just a lap ago, and he is all over the back of Capellini.
Yeah, having a look, Francesconi up the inside, gets the move done before the corner. That's as easy as you like, but I mean, coming down the inside as well, is that Ragota sliding up the inside? Yeah, so double overtake there on Capellini by Francesconi and Ragota fighting for position. Ragota may have to defend into Villeneuve here, but he should be fine. That's not really an overtaking opportunity for anybody at the best of times. But there we go, sliding through. Damien Kardak, meanwhile, trying to put pressure on Roboli. The Valley car's doing a magnificent job, it must be said. I believe that Roboli is yet to box, but currently running P3 and P6. A superb job from Valle on their first race in Superlights.
Yeah, really good job, really good job. But we know that they're that sort of team. We know that they've got pedigree. Kardash, though, all over the back of Raboli, yet to pit, I believe. So Kardash working his way back up. He was the first to pit, of course. He's on the hard side. So these have come nicely in. He'll be all over the back of Massi Raboli. He's just starting to struggle, you can see, with the rears on that Valley Esports, and does pit. And that gives Kardash not only the DRS, but clean air. He doesn't have to make a move into Tamburello. Beautiful stuff. And look who's behind him, Ragusa, who has had a brilliant battle with him as well. Singh stayed out a long time on that first stint. That time will come back to him throughout the race, but he has dropped from what was net P5 down to P7 behind Kardash and Ragusa, knowing that Poem has to pit again. So 23 laps to go on this. Gorby half second up from Duval. Ayres now just about within DRS range to Duval. Then McGorgy 4 seconds down the lead. Poem yet to pit. Kardash P6. Ragusa P7. Having had a bit of fisticuffs with Kardash already. Sandeep Singh pitted down to P8. Leho's having a really good race of it. And Hoyt hasn't pitted yet, but he's up in P10 and keeping his nose clean.
Yeah, so a few drivers in that top 10 still yet to pit, but some very strong running from several drivers throughout the field so far. Lap 23 of 51 of the opening race of the season here. Hello and welcome if you're just joining us for GPVWC Superlights, the second tier in the GPVWC pyramid, as Gobi, fastest lap of the race with no DRS, a 122.309. He is pushing hard. He's trying to extend the gap, I think, and then just try and just break way and then try and just cruise to the end potentially. He is looking mighty, mighty quick at the wheel of that machine. And of course, you know, it's very interesting with the strategy as well. Again, new season, new tyre compounds, new cars as well. Very different to last year's cars. So no one's really sure how the tyres are going to behave for the first couple of rounds. Last year, it was very much that the undercut was the preferable strategy to be on throughout the GPVWC field, not just in Superlights. As there's Michael Francis going up the inside into Villeneuve. That is brave. That is superb from the TG Racing driver. Brilliant stuff laid on the brakes on Goy up into P10 he goes, though Kilian Goy is yet to pit, so bear that in mind. He is struggling with his tyre wear potentially late into this stint. But as I was saying, last year the undercut was generally the strategy you wanted to be on, because you wanted to push hard early in your stint and then just manage your tyres all the way to the end. That was the kind of the given strategy. That was the go-to strategy for almost everybody out in the field. This year, no one's really quite sure yet. It seemed that the undercut is relatively powerful, but who really knows as the race goes on. As Alexander Ragoza trying to look for a way through Coit, coming through the Variante outer and on the run down to Ravazza, but unable to make the gap appear for the time being. And once again, traffic playing a problem. It's usually the lap traffic that I'm whittering on about creating chaos, but this time it's the traffic of those who just simply haven't boxed yet.
No, there he does come into pit, so that is just pretty much on time. Yeah, you cursed it, didn't you? Yeah, so Gorby now way ahead of Duval. What's happened to Duval? There were 4/10 on the last lap. He's just got so much speed with those medium tyres on, hasn't he? And now Duval sort of closes back in. Those medium tyres working beautifully for Gorby and Ayres at this point of the race, but there are only 3 in the top 10 that are on those tyres, so plenty of life left to go in this race. Only just coming up to halfway as they cross through the middle sector on lap 25. And yeah, plenty to see how this plays out. Will these hard tyres work for Duval, McGorgy and the likes? The problem that McGorgy's got is that he's just losing time with no DRS, quite frankly. That has stabilised now that Duval's starting to stall out from behind Gorby. Look, it's going to be 2.5 seconds pretty much coming across the line. But from what we've seen from the Valley Esports, Michael Ayres just hasn't got the straight line speed to compete at the moment. He's now closing in with the DRS, but the moves that we saw on him earlier in the race were a lot simpler and being done a lot earlier in the straight than he was able to do. What I would say, though, is that setup does make it look like he's uber confident on the brakes and has plenty of speed through the corners, especially with those medium tyres. Ragusa Kardash, round 703 into Tamburello. No move to be done this time, but this is going to get tasty again. This battle has been fantastic all the way through, and Sandeep Singh's going to be lurking before you know it as well. Van Boersel and Faber as well have been stuck to each other like a plaster. And this time Faber goes to the inside, Van Boersel to the outside for drag, late on the brakes. That's beautiful. Faber just seeks him out wide and sort of hip and check. Got what he had coming in a way trying to do that, and yeah, a bit of side-to-side contact, and Faber's the one who loses out in the second drag as well. Sorry, it's not. It's Francesconi in the very similar colour car of the TG there. Christian Francesconi into P13. Faber loses out.
Yeah, a bit of rubbing and wheel banging coming through Tamburello. We've seen that from a few drivers, and a few drivers, well, I'd like to have to take the escape road, more like having to take the grass. And actually, Faber nearly got into the inside wall there, such was his aggressive line, as Michael Ayres should have the DRS, does have the DRS on Duval. Let's see if he can give a challenge into Tamburello this time, shall he? Gaining. I'm not sure he's going to be gaining enough, but he's looking to the inside anyway. He's going to be late enough on the brakes? No, ducks back in behind the man in second place, as Owen McGorgy, I think, has faded away from this lead battle for the time being. 5 seconds behind the leader. Of course, Gobi on that medium compound tyres. He is pushing very, very hard, as there we see his teammate Ragusa going around Kardash, I believe that is. So a nice little move there on the brakes at Tamburello, as we are not... Actually, no, we're over halfway through this race, rather, should I say. And it's been a very entertaining affair so far. We've seen action, we've seen drama, strategy battles coming into the foray. And, well, if this doesn't paint a great picture for the upcoming season in 2023 in Superlights, then I don't know what will. It's been brilliant action so far, and it's if you're just joining us, please just go back and watch it from the start. It has been great as Ayres gets very loose on the exit of Ariante Alta. That'll lose him a bit of momentum coming down the hill into the Ravazzas, but he should be okay. He'll still be in the DRS range, but once again, the DRS on the Valet Esports car not been the most powerful, so I'm starting to wonder if Valet just running a slightly higher downforce setup than Duval here, because he's just not quite gaining on the straight as much as you'd expect. Maybe that's my mind just being destroyed by the straight line speed of the TX3 cars. That being said, though, he's looking a lot closer this time. He's going to duck to the inside. He's going to get the move done. Michael Ayres into P2, late on the brakes. Superb stuff. Through goes the Valet driver.
Yeah, Duval must have had an issue off out of Ravazza, because that was almost too easy compared to what we've seen in the last few laps. So vital for Michael Ayres to get that move done on those medium tyres and try and scamper up the road a bit. Follow Gorby 3.7 seconds as I go through Toza. There's a lightning gap, although that is fluctuating. So we're looking more at sort of 3 seconds by the end of the lap. Ayres has to crack on. So Gorby and Ayres on those medium tyres are the jokers in the pack, if you like. Let's see what they do strategy-wise. I imagine they'd go to another set of mediums. Although, having said that, well, what lap do they come in? Sort of 10 laps ago-ish, give or take. So, I don't know. They could probably, with the fuel loads going down, to sort of have a go at softs if they wanted to. I reckon Gobi could definitely, with the tyre life we saw from him at the start of the race. Ayres may be a bit more circumspect to that. I imagine, though, we're going to get another move for P2 if Duval can get off the corner, because his car is lightning in a straight line compared to that Valley. The Fusion should just sail through down into Tamburello. Let's keep with them. It's not as easy as it was earlier in the race for sure, but he's still going to get a move alongside, down the inside, easy as you like taking candy from a baby. A little bit wide though, and that will give Michael Ayres all the incentive he needs into Villeneuve. Down then, with a bit of slipstream, he'll go to the inside. Will Duval defend? He didn't need to, because Ayres just couldn't pull alongside, even with the better traction, and Duval stayed. P2.
Yeah, nice move there by Duval. Carbon copy of what Ayres pulled just a lap earlier. Of course, historically, Imola has been a very, very difficult circuit to overtake. It's just very technical, lots of awkward medium speed corners where you can't really stick a nose up the inside. But of course, with the advent of DRS and that massive DRS zone down the front straight nowadays, it's, as long as you're near the car in front, you can kind of just do that into turn one, and that's kind of the classic Imola move nowadays. But still, anything to improve the racing. The racing gods deemed that DRS was the solution in top-level motorsport, and that is something that we, of course, will replicate in sim racing. It's simulated racing for a reason. We aim to simulate as realistically as we can real-world motorsport, but at the same time, we also aim to create our own brand of racing, our own breed of racing that is so very special in its own form. As Ayres gets a little bit out of shape, and Duval, as a result, gets the better traction, so I don't think the Airs will be getting the move done, although once again the DRS looking very, very powerful all of a sudden on the Valley Esports car. Does he duck to the inside? No, he does. Point to nose, they make contact! Light touch from Airs on Duval, and they've both somehow got away with it, but oh, that could have been a lot worse if not even half a metre later on the brakes was Airs. So we see Sandeep Singh, Owen McGorgy's teammate, having a look to the outside on Kardash. No, ducks out of the move. Quite sensible there if you ask me. Sandeep Singh, of course, the highest ranked driver in Superlights last season, so a driver we're expecting some big things from here. Of course, not the perfect start to the race, pretty disappointing qualifying by his standards, but he's been making his way through the pack and is looking to be feisty late on with his aggressive strategy. So on lap 30 out of 51, it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds for Mr. Singh as the race wears on. Michael Ayres still chasing down Duval. Gobi 4.5 seconds to the good now up the front. Of course, that fluctuating with every single corner, but that was the number that I saw at the last moment as these two come into the battle for second place, still waging strong. As there goes Ayres now, and coming onto the back straight, he's looking a lot tidier and a lot closer as well than the previous lap, so surely he'll be getting the move done with the DRS. Duval trying to go defensive, take a bit of a defensive line maybe. Oh, can Ayres even get close enough? He's not looking like he might be close enough actually, and no. He's going to have to back out this time. Maybe a run into Villeneuve. He gets a good exit the corners. Again, those medium tyres. They probably won't be far off the crossover point between the mediums and the softs being faster. And at which point, Ayres is sort of a sitting duck in no man's land. But for now, it is Duval who holds that middle step on the podium. As we see Christian Francesconi trying to have a look at Van Boekel. He is very, very close. He'll get the DRS and will surely get past, probably before we've even got to the first kink down the straight, and yet there you go, there's the move, easy as you like for Christian Francesconi. Moves across to block his colleague out on circuit. Raboli trying to pull a similar move on Ragozza. Up the inside goes the other valet driver, and through he goes on the gallery 86 car. So nice little move there from Massimiliano Raboli, another strong driver that I'm very familiar with from SF1 last season. Always puts in a good shift, does Raboli, so great to see him doing well as Ayres once again. Can he get the DRS this time? We'll have to wait and see. Putting onto the main straight, Adam Ravats, a little bit of a wobble once again as 20 laps remaining. Flashes up on your screen. Not a ridiculous amount of time left to go in this race until we will wave the checkered flag. Does Michael Ayres see the gap? That is super defensive from Duval, and he has placed his car perfectly. No way through for Michael Ayres. Brilliant defensive job from Liam Duval.
Yeah, really good defence from Liam Duval. It's really interesting to see this, isn't it? Because clearly Michael's faster on the mediums, but that car just hasn't got the straight line speed at the moment. I don't know if it is set up. It's got to be set up. Because you can see he's almost pushing Liam through the corners. Literally did in Zambrello a few laps ago, but just cannot get the drive he needs. And I think it did take a Duval mistake out of Rabatza a few laps ago as Van Boekel pits now. And Christian Francesconi's also got past Adrian Faber into P12. Top 10 then, Gobi, Duval, Ayres, McGorgy, Ragusa, Pum yet to pit. But he's really playing himself into contention here for some really decent points on what looks like a one-stop strategy. Started on the hard tyres up into P6, Daniel Kardash, P7, Singh, P8. He's dropped down the field from his qualifying position. Alex Leho up into P9, and Michael Francesconi ahead of Francesconi Christian in P10 and 11 for TG. Plenty going on, but only 2 DNFs of 3 DNFs. So far, in fact, Dylan Platt early on. We've also lost Matija Markovic for TTF and Piotr Vazinovsky for PZZW. Still 23 running, still plenty of action going on track, but still Michael Ayres cannot get past Liam Duval as they go through Villeneuve towards Tosa. Hashtag GPVWC, hashtag SL2 for your social media inquiries and predictions and anything else you want to get involved with. And if you're lucky, if you want to, you can get involved with the Discord as well. Open community, fantastic people involved. You'll have a blast, honestly. Francesconi up the back of Alex Leo into Villeneuve, closing in. That TG looks as if it's a fast car. I think they just need to tidy a few little bits up and it'll be up in the mid top 10 soon enough. Francesconi, we know how good he is in the Superlights, and he is all over the back of the red Arrow driver, looking for P9. And then Sandeep Singh is next up the road, but a fair bit up the road, it has to be said, 7 seconds of difference to the road to Formula Car, who is all over the back of Damien Kardash. So plenty of moves to be done as we go towards the second road to Formula Racing. And here is the Valley Esports car. It's Michael Ayers again trying to get on terms with Liam Duval, but he just cannot get alongside in that Valley Esports car. He cannot find the straight line speed to challenge. I think Reboli's had an issue. And that's Faber.
That's a big
Faber.
crash. Yeah,
So Faber out of Aqua Minerale then, so I'm guessing he's just dropped it going slightly wide, would be my guess. Yeah, he's all on his own, and he's going to run wide, I imagine, down into Aqua Minerale, get it on the curb, swap the back end. Let's see how accurate we are. Yeah, wide, on the curb, swap the back end.
And that's your race over, unfortunately. Yeah, just not sure if maybe he had a bit of a braking issue. It looked like he didn't hit the brakes particularly late, but just didn't quite make the corner. So maybe his pedal set playing up potentially. But that is a real shame for Adrian Faber, who was having a great race in the PZZW car. Of course, you never want to end your first race of a season with a DRS, but that is racing, that is motorsport, that is esports. Sometimes it just does not go your way, and a big shame there for Adrian Faber and the 3 other cars that we've lost over the course of the day, as well as finally, oh, hang on, Duval in. What?
On the hards. Well, we said earlier that the tyres weren't looking as if they were lasting. I thought he was struggling at the end of the first stint. Now, it's a bit of an interesting one to see him come in on the hards when Ayers and Gobi were on mediums, so he's back on the hards. That tells me the Fusion's struggling with tyre life. It really does. So that puts, Magorgi into P3, Ragusa into P4, and boom, still on his first set of hards in P5, can you believe it? That's how much the Fusion's struggling.
If there's one thing I can tell you about Hago Poom, is that man can manage tyres for a lifetime. He's also a pretty nifty cameraman. You'll sometimes be seeing him running races from the camera booth here in GPVWC. As there we see Alex Laho and Michael Francesconi nearly coming together, coming through Tamburello. Laho looking after a very, very impressive race so far for the reserve driver coming in short notice, and he's doing a brilliant job, is Mr. Laho. I'm sure that even with a wobble like that at the Exeter Tosa, he's going to be raising a few eyebrows among the GPVWC virtual paddock, and maybe have a few teams sliding into his Discord DMs, maybe asking if he fancies giving their cars a go in the future. As here we see Sandeep Singh on the back of Damien Kardash, now looking for a way through. And that's interesting that Duval boxed so early, as Michael Ayers now comes in. So I guess that he's now taken a lot of damage at the tyres fighting with Duval, and he's gone onto the softs. What? Oh, I mean, there's 15 laps left of the race. It's doable on the softs.
It makes sense.
And Duval is on the softs as well. Okay. I take back my aggressive what. My brain hadn't run the maths yet. Again, if you've ever watched an FS1 race last season, you know I cannot do maths for the life of me, which isn't ideal in a sport that deals with numbers. Out of the pits comes Michael Ayers, and Duval is already through. What was really good from Duval at the end of that last stint is he was racing super smart. Once he'd worked out where to place his car, coming into Tamburello and coming into Villeneuve and into Tosa, so that Ayers couldn't get past him, he was just sticking the car there every single time. Same exact spot with insane accuracy, and just Ayers couldn't get through because Duval was just in the way, acting like a moving roadblock. So superb defensive efforts there from Liam Duval, superbly smart racing as well. And on this final soft tyre stint, I'd expect then to see Gobi, Magorgi, Ragusa, Kardash, Singh, all of them lot come in as well at some point, and Gobi does come in from the lead. So in comes your race leader, Fabrizio Gobi, surely onto the soft compounded tyres. Does Magorgi follow him in behind, or does he stay out for an extra lap? I believe that Magorgi is going to go ahead and take the lead of the race for the time being, but Gobi comes in. Where does he come out in comparison to Kardash, Ragusa, Singh and Duval as well? He should be a decent pit stop ahead of Duval, although Duval with that soft compound tyres. You've now got to consider as well, they've got to be reacting to the guys who are on the soft and will suddenly be lapping very, very quickly. And that actually is Liam Duval there. And no, that's Sandeep Singh. I got very excited then. Never mind. So Gobi actually manages to stay in 3rd place. Although Duval isn't too far back, he's within viewing distance. So it's a little bit closer come the end. So McGorgy should surely be coming in as Damien Kardash boxes for the final time. McGorgy should surely be coming in at the end of this race, and then we should have a straight fight on our hands till the checkered flag.
Depends what his tyre life is like, because if he can get those hards to keep in for the next 14 laps, I mean, Gobi's still got 19 seconds of fresh tyres to close in with, but if he can make them last like Kaigo Pum kept his tyres in, I mean, Pum's down in 10th now, having made his one and only stop, we believe, so that could be an interesting way to go if Owen McGorgy did want to do that. I mean, what's he got to lose anyway? He's got 17 seconds down to Sandeep Singh, and then next after Michael Ayres, who was ahead of him in 3rd anyway, is way down the order, way down in terms of time. So I think he may as well risk that if he's got the tyre life under him. Duval going on softs is an interesting one for me, having seen the tyre wear that he enjoyed. That says to me he was trying to do an undercut on Gobi. It didn't quite work. He didn't have the delta to do it. But now Gobi's got a bit of traffic behind Sandeep Singh, hasn't he, in the Road to Formula Racing car. So again, Sandeep Singh can be a bit of a rear gunner here for Owen McGorgy. And I think that might just dictate what type of strategy they want to go in for the Road to Formula. Look how defensive Sandeep's going as well. This is fabulous, isn't it? They could both theoretically go to the end, I think, because they both ran a little bit longer than those around them. So I think, I mean, I'd love them to try it just for our interest, because then we've got Gobi trying to chase them down. But Sandeep, look how defensive he is, and he's kept the TX3 behind for now. Next lap, though, he's going to be a sitting duck with the DRS, absolutely, with the traction as well out of Ravazza. So Gobi, Duval, Ayres have a big task on their hands here if McGorgy decides to stay out.
I mean, if he can make the end, yeah, I mean, he's probably having a very heated conversation with his engineer, his team boss, his teammate as well at the same time. No, Liam Duval up the outside. This surely can't work. No, he has to back out of the move on Gobi heading into Variante Alta, but that was super brave. Again, unfortunately, because of that DRS, Sandeep Singh will be a sitting duck coming down, and he's actually going to, Gobi's actually going to get through beforehand, but he has held them up for a lap, which is crucial. So we've got, 12 laps left to go. The gap currently between McGorgy and Gobi is just a little under 18 seconds. Of course, that's fluctuating as they're coming and going throughout
this
the course.
Doesn't help.
18 seconds.
This doesn't help him.
This doesn't help as well, because Sandeep Singh's still trying to put up a fight as well, because he had the DRS.
It doesn't help Duval either. It doesn't help Duval if Singh's got that sort of straight line speed. I wonder if that's why Singh's been off the pace. Has he got a different setup? Because he looked rapid in the straight line. He looked rapid in the straight line. I tell you what though, McGorgy, he's probably in the right sort of position to get those hards to the end if he can replicate what Perm did, because Perm did about 36 laps, 37 laps on those hard tyres. So that's going to be close enough as Duval gets through on Sandeep Singh for P3. So that's crucial for Duval. He can follow Gobi now. I think you still got to say that Gobi's the favourite here, because he's going to be so much faster than McGorgy. I mean, that's already, oh my god, I mean, he's 8/10 up in the middle sector alone on these soft tyres. But by the time he arrives to McGorgy, he's going to have much more worn soft tyres. McGorgy's going to be on hard tyres. This is fascinating. I hope they keep McGorgy out. He's got nothing to lose. All he's going to do is drop to 4th, which is where he was anyway.
A tantalising strategy battle unfolding. Owen McGorgy is, I think he is going to stay out. You know, it's got to the point I think he's too late to box. And, you know, these guys are going so much quicker on those fresh soft tyres. But McGorgy, I mean, I think you're completely right, Ewan. He's got nothing to lose. I mean, if they get through him, then great, he falls to P4. You know?
I mean, what he has got to lose is he can have no tyres left, spin up the tyres like we saw Faber do, and end up in the wall on the outside of the track. We've also lost Ragozza, by the way, recently for Gallery 82. Gallery 82, Gallery 80.
It is 82, yeah.
82. Why did I think it was 86 for a minute? An absolute blind spot there. I think it's because I was looking at Francesconi in P6 on my timing screen. Sandeep Singh, though, has been overtaken by Michael Ez, but is trying to stay on the back and to draw himself across. I wonder if Sandeep's trying to do a one-stop as well on those hard tyres. I wonder if this is some Rotor Formula confidence with their tyre life, because if Sandeep Singh wants to pit now and come out at the end, he's missed the boat a little bit as well. I mean, he's going to find himself way down the order, isn't he? He's going to be behind Perm, Kardash. He'll be right at the bottom of the top 10. So I think it makes sense now for Sandeep to stay out and try and fight off Michael Francesconi, who's doing a similar thing, and Leho, who's doing a similar thing. They shouldn't have too much more pace than him at this stage of the race. There's McGorgy. Yeah, it's absolutely monumental, the speed that Gorby's got, especially in the middle sector. What is that? 1.9 seconds faster on the last lap. That's mind-boggling as Leho comes into the pit. So he's not trying to do a soft, hard run to the end.
No, shame there for Alex Leho. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to come out, as he's got a few lap cars between him, so he could still be in P11, you know, when he comes out of the pits. And that's probably where he'll remain for the remainder of the race, unless he just unlocks another level of pace or there's an absolute calamity out on circuit. Yeah, I mean, Gobi is flying at the moment. He will certainly get within touching distance of McGorgy if McGorgy is able to manage his tyres to the end. I mean, we've also got to be considered, is McGorgy not pushing? Is he trying to manage his tyres so that when Gobi does inevitably get to the back of him, you know, with a couple of laps left, he can still try and fight against the TX3 driver? I mean, there's so many different variables that could be playing into this race. McGorgy's, you know, he's pulled the pin, he's stayed out, he's done the complete opposite to what everyone else is, and it could be a piece of genius, masterstroke, whatever you want to call it, but it could also be his undoing and see him drop back to P4, as there is McGorgy just heading into Villeneuve now, and I must say, he doesn't look like he's particularly pushing that hard to me. You know, he's not running all of the curbs very aggressively. The car is very, very stable on the exit. These cars, you know, with the majority of the downforce coming now from the floor, you do tend to see them get a little bit twitchy on the exit, especially the drivers who are really pushing the limits of the machines. McGorgy looking very stable. So personally, I mean, you might disagree with me, but I think McGorgy's just trying to preserve his tyres till the end of the race. We've got 9 laps left to run, and it's 15 seconds separating McGorgy from Gobi. So that's, what, 2 seconds a lap that Gobi's got to do to get to the back of McGorgy and then pass him?
But McGorgy, and this tells me that McGorgy is definitely going to end the race. He's just responded with the personal best lap of the race of 122.9. That's outstanding on these tyres at this stage of the race. Still 9/10 down. No, exactly. Still 9/10 down on Fabrizio Gobi. Fabrizio Gobi's last lap, but I mean, it's kept the gap at about 16 seconds at the start of the lap. So yeah, that's impressive from McGorgy at this stage of the race, and if he can keep that up, then he'll be laughing at 123.7 this time, though, a bit down. See what Gobi does across the line, and that was a 122.2, so that's 1.5 seconds fluctuating at the moment for McGorgy, and Gobi having some DRS doesn't help either, as he goes past, ironically, I believe it was Duval's teammate, Renko Dezeo, in the Fusion. So McGorgy, there he is, still in control, still with a 14.5 second lead at the start of this lap. It's lap 43 of 51 into the closing stages. How much of that tyre life can Gobi keep for an onslaught right at the end? It's going to be fascinating to see if he can close in. And if McGorgy does hold on to this, masterstroke from Rotor Formula to ensure that he gets back to the top after what was a very sticky opening half of the race for him. So McGorgy, Gobi, Duval, Singh, Francesconi, Ragusa, Porn with potentially the driver of the day so far, Kardash, and Christian Francesconi. 2 Francesconis in the top 10. Leho, Horace Sharvin doing brilliantly. Capellini, Joffe has had a bit of drama, and Riboli. That is the points as it stands.
Honestly, I can't tell who's going to win this race. You know, if McGorgy keeps it on the road, Gobi, I think, will catch him just about, but will he pass him? is the question then. You know, it's going to be incredibly
Holy
tight.
moly, 2 seconds on the last lap. 121.6 against a 123.6. Gobi means business. That gap is down to 12.6 at the start of the lap.
I think that TX3 have been on the radio to Gobi there and have said, all right, mate, we need to get a move on now. Let's get moving. And he's turned up the wick. He's starting to give it everything he can as the laps are slowly ticking away. Lap 44 of 51, not very long left to go in this race, and it is anybody's guess what is going to happen. Is Ewan McGorgy, on his full-time Superlights debut, going to pull off a strategy masterclass after getting the pole position, having a bit of a scruffy opening corner, forced off the track, dropped down to P5, and then... Oh no! Capellini.
But Horoshavin, I tell you what, they've both done brilliantly to get to where they are in the race. It would have been a shame if they'd thrown it away like that through Ravata. Now Joffe thinking, thank you very much, I'll have Christmas several months early, trying to get in the slipstream of Capellini. I tell you what, that is robust defending, isn't it? Stunning stuff from Capellini, and Joffe gets over the curbs and has to settle for 14th at the moment. Riboli's joining that fight as well, and Van der Voort's not far away. Gobi within 10 seconds now, I believe, over the line. Another 1.4 seconds on that lap, just over 10 seconds behind McGorgy, the leader. This is fascinating, absolutely incredible stuff. Duval following as well, and Ayres pretty much all on the same pace as each other. Question is if Gobi gets past, does Duval get past? Does Ayres get past? Does McGorgy get the podium? Who knows? So much to look at, and we still got battles for points all the way down the top 15. As you can see, Horoshavin desperately trying to hold on against Capellini, who's looking up the inside into the barrier. Didn't come off for him, and he's lost plenty of time. And that's Joffe again trying to capture that.
Yeah, got the door slams and hello. He's trying to squeeze up the inside. He gets through Joffe. Does he try go into the Ravata as well? As we see there, Capellini going defensive. Joffe runs very wide through Ravata 1. Riboli will get the DRS, and we'll surely see a valet car making a move up the inside of Capellini. Yep, there you go. Well, DRS. Hello, mate. See you later, mate. That was easy, wasn't it? Massimiliano Riboli up to P13. A superb drive on his Superlights debut. And there is Gobi coming around now. We'll have to wait and see what the lap time is to make the judgment call, because it's lap 46 of 51. There is 5 laps left, 6 laps left. Kind of, it's complicated. So he was 2 seconds faster on that lap as a yellow flag comes out in sector 2. Hopefully everyone is okay. If my maths is correct, Gobi will catch McGorgy on the final lap, I think. Don't hold me accountable for that if I'm wrong, but if they continue doing that pace, I think Gobi should just about catch him on the final lap, and then it's anybody's guess as to what happens from there. But my oh my, what a scintillating end to the opening round of the season we've got here in Superlights. Oh, McGorgy, after that woeful opening lap, getting forced off the road and dropping down to P5 after a dominant pole, has not had the race pace that anyone has expected, and the Race to Formula team have just pulled an absolute blinder with this strategy that no one expected was possible from a front runner. And he could be.
Past Joffe, by the way, for the final point.
Oh, he has, yeah.
We missed Herlock falling down the order because he was solid top 10 at the start. Francesconi's pitted as well late on in the TG, so he'll forfeit position as Riboli comes up. So sorry to cut across you there, but points changing all the time.
And more points changing here as well as Riboli tries to go around the outside of Khrushchevin. And Khrushchevin's going to hold the inside. They make contact. Khrushchevin, no, the 2 lock wheels. Khrushchevin off and beached into the gravel. Riboli falls to 13th place. Oh, what a shame there. Just another racing incident. And Khrushchevin outside of the points now, as well as Van der Voort up into P15. Oh, what a shame there. That last lap, Gobi getting even closer, 6 seconds away now from McGorgy. With, what, 4 laps remaining? This is unreal. I mean, this is the first race of the season that we are being delivered an absolute spellbinder of an ending. We've got strategy battles, we've got lap times all coming into one. Can Ewan McGorgy hold on? Can Gobi catch him? Can he find that little something extra and squeeze past the poleman who is attempting to do something biblical on hard tyres that have no right being on a racetrack? as Hygo Poo, someone who, well, pulled a similar strategy to McGorgy, just in reverse, but he is one that I'm very familiar with. As there we see off the road, actually, goes Capellini. That's going to allow Riboli to get the DRS and the momentum as well as they head through Ravazza too. DRS wide open, further down in the points. They are scrapping for everything they can in this opening round. Riboli's got damage. He's actually crabbing down the straight. Look at the steering wheel. It's like the opposite version of an IndyCar, but he's going to try and pull to the outside anyway. They do touch wheels ever so slightly, but it will be Capellini holding on to that point. Look at Riboli twerking on the exit as well.
Yeah, it meant that Herlock got through as well into P11, but crucially, look who's coming up to this Gagler car, so McGorgy. So that's another thing to add into his problems. Not only has he got hard tires, I mean, there's only 5 drivers of the 21 slower than him at the moment on track. That's how much he's struggling. Gorby really closing in 6 seconds. Now, lost the front wing. Who was that?
What's a radio as well?
It's Kardash. It's Kardash.
Kardash has come together with someone. I'm not sure who it was. It might be Capellini, I think.
I'm not. There was a back
It
marker.
might be the back marker. There was a car without a rear wing that I saw. Oh, there's already without a rear wing.
I think, so Zongoli's already got no rear wing in the second HG, and yeah, that's no good. That's no good. So Kardash into the pits then.
What a shame.
That is such a shame, isn't it? So that puts Raguso's already ahead, but Pum into P8.
Oh, that is that is
P9. They'll put Herlock into, or Herlock will get closer to P10 as well for Red Arrows. So 2 Red Arrows could be in the points. We're coming on to 3 laps to go. Gorby is flying up to the back of McGorgy, and that traffic as well, that run of Herlock, of Capellini, of Van der Voort, who's just side by side with Riboli and getting through. No, he's not. Yes, he is. They're still swapping on the exit of Tamburello. I think Van der Voort has made that move now. Yoffe's in there, and Kardash has just come out of the pits. There they are. That's the second chicane at the start of the lap. And in the background, you'll just about see Owen McGorgy. Owen McGorgy's going to have all sorts of issues here as Kardash goes around the outside of Yoffe into Toza. So McGorgy has got, 5.3 seconds at the start of that. 3 laps to go. Yellow flags out in sector 1. That's Hoyt, who I think has dropped down and lost a bit of time, potentially with Francesconi a bit of tangle, because they dropped behind Horashavin. Horashavin now losing back out to Francesconi. This is crucial for the race. Another 2 laps to go. The only thing that is helping McGorgy here is a relatively short lap, because if this was a Spa, you'd be in all sorts of trouble. You'd be on the back of these like a flash. Kardash fighting his way back on a new set of tyres after that collision, a few laps to go. And if anything, actually, what McGorgy has got from this is that this pack is stringing out slightly and might help him, as Tom van der Voort in the drag goes to the inside of Capellini. Capellini powerless to defend, and Tom van der Voort into P11. McGorgy 3 seconds now. 3 seconds between McGorgy and Gorby. 2 laps to go, anyone's game.
Yeah, McGorgy obviously is going to get blue flags through those bag markers, but my oh my, it must be tense behind the wheel of that Road to Formula car. Massive shame for Damien Kardash, who's managed to climb back into P13 but dropped to the back of the points paying positions after that. Just very, very unlucky incident, and overall a day to forget for Galloway 82, P13 and the DNF. Here we are on board with Owen McGorgy. 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds. Global must be in a braking zone, but there we see some back markers. This is it. This is make or break time for Owen McGorgy. We've seen time and time again in GPVWC, in any sim racing series, in any motorsport series, traffic creates chaos. This could be it for Owen McGorgy. This is what means he either gets the victory or he gets through. I mean, he should be fine coming through this sector.
Gorby's
he might
not
get
going
the
to get
DRS as well. Gorby's not going to get the DRS, but McGorgy still has to negotiate them as he rounds the final corner to begin the final lap of the opening round of the Superlights season. Owen McGorgy is just a few miles from destiny with a spellbinding strategy.
Yeah, so McGorgy needs this car to get out of the way. This is Yoffe in the TTF. So first first thing that needs to happen is Joffe needs to pull off, and he does, and gets out of the way nicely. So that's McGorgy through. Where is Gorby compared to that? Oh, a fair bit behind. I think the Gorgy's got this sewn up. I think he's just about got enough in the tank, hasn't he? That's Capellini trying to defend from Kardash, and Kardash is going to have a look into Piratella. And, oh, I tell you what, Capellini's a little bit aggressive in the defence, keeps it all pointing forward. McGorgy, though, and Gorby are not going to be separated by a lot by the end of this race, but I think Gorby's still got to get past Joffe, hasn't he? So Joffe a lap down, but going to get a point in 15th. This is on board with Fabrizio. Gorby hasn't put a foot wrong. He's going to be so unlucky not to win this race. He's going to see that little carrot on a stick that is Owen McGorgy. But the Road to Formula driver had an iffy start. Contact with Michael Ayres through turn 1. Lost him his pole position berth. He dropped down to 4th. He stayed there, but a daring strategy on the hard tyres. He's only just going to keep onto it. But Owen McGorgy comes across the line to win the first round of the Superlights season. Stunning stuff from McGorgy and Road to Formula. Gorby so unlucky in P2. We're on board with his teammate right now. It's Giuseppe Ragusa, who's all over the back of Michael Francesconi. Francesconi trying a similar strategy to the race winner and just trying to hold on. Can Francesconi hold on? Ragusa will have a short, sharp burst of DRS, but Francesconi holds on. Francesconi holds on ahead of Ragusa. It's McGorgy from Gorby. Duval takes P3 on his return to the series. Then Michael Ayres, and look at Kardash again looking for the inside.
No!
It's contact. Contact between the two of them. You could see that coming from a lap before. That's Capellini round into P14. That's Kardash down into P13 and Riboli up into P12.
Desperate from Kardash, trying to get more points on the table. He actually maintains position. Capellini, I think, will be on the phone to the stewards after this one, as Kardash may be trying to get through Riboli this race. The checkered flag may have fallen for most of the field, but it's still not over for the final points paying positions. Can Kardash try a dive bomb down into Ravata? He's going to have to go the long way around as Riboli's just run out of pace, and Kardash has got through. Unbelievable. Damien Kardash, 5 laps ago, was in the wars. He manages to recover into P12, but there might be a post-race report heading against him from Capellini, so we'll have to wait and see. But Owen McGorgy, his first full-time race in Superlights after claiming the Vice Championship in Superlights, a dominant pole position, a messy opening lap. He went off the road, and he has won with an unbelievable strategy, a perfect 360 celebration. Oh, McGorgy, take a bow. Gobi tried everything he could, but just couldn't quite get close enough. A few more laps, he would have got him, I'm sure. He comes in second, Duval rounding out the podium. Michael Ayres, despite that rocket ship start, he's P4 with Sandeep Singh, a monstrous defence, as the rear gunner for his teammate finishes in 5th, with Michael Francesconi in P6th. Giuseppe Ragusa is 7th, Hygo Pumas 8th, and then it's Alex Laho and Joseph Hurlock, the 2 red arrows, with a great performance. They round out the top 10. Shout out Alex Laho, filling in as reserve as well. Tom van der Voort is 11th with Damien Kardash in 12th. Massimilio Riboli is 13th with Lorenzo Capellini, your last car on the lead lap in P14, and Silver Joffe in 15th rounds out the points. There's Christian Francesconi, Kilian Goy, Remco de Zoo, a disappointing race for him, unfortunately. Hopefully he'll be getting back onto form. Dominic Horoshavin is 19th. Jerry Van Bussel is 20th. I think he ran into the wars late on. He was running in the points paying positions earlier on. Zongoli also in the wars on 21st. And unfortunately, we lost Alexander Ragoza, both PZZW cars of Adrian Faber and Varsnowski. And then we also lost Markovic for TTF and Dylan Platt on the first lap for TR Geeks Energy. That's it then for your opening race of the Superlights in GPVWC in 2023. Of course, we'll be back on the 21st of March for the Bahrain Grand Prix. But my oh my, Ewan, what a way to open the season.
It was a barnstorm. The problem is that they've got to keep it up all the season, haven't they? I mean, good lord. Oh, yeah, stunning stuff. And really, you know, other than a few little skirmishes like we saw on the final lap, pretty clean racing, especially between the top 5. Gorby, so unlucky. I mean, so unlucky to not win that race. He did everything he could. It was just a genius strategy, really, wasn't it, from Road to Formula for McGorgy to win. But having said that, McGorgy was miles faster in qualifying. So, Yeah, Ayres looks fast. He looks in fine form, but that car just didn't look like it had what it needed to compete with those guys around him. So potentially maybe outperforming the car a little bit. And Duval, to have Duval back in the series as well, I mean, fabulous. And to see them all fighting each other was really great. Really wet the whistle, really, for the rest of the season. I cannot wait to see what happens going forward. I think what we should do, though, straight away, is bring our race winner in for a chat. And we can do that right now with Owen McGorgy, race winner in round one. What a way to do it. Difficult start, but you managed to pull through. Just tell us about the race from your point of view.
It was all right, wasn't it? The start was a bit... it was a bit of a weird one. I can't really remember too much, but the start from Michael was... It was something else, and I almost pushed him onto the grass on the straight, but it was fine, I guess. And just the first stint, tire saving, attacking at the end. I could have done a couple more laps, but I thought I need to go. I need to pit earlier because the hards should be a lot quicker. And then I got held up by Hygo, which was funny. And I got a bit frustrated behind him, but once I got past him, I was just trying to catch back up to Liam and Michael, who were just DRSing each other, and it was almost impossible to catch. And I thought Liam was going to be going to the end on those hards, but I guess he didn't have the tyre wear advantage like I did, at least. And then.
No, it's good. Just jump in and ask about that sort of mid-race skirmish with Hygo. Obviously, he hasn't got to get out of the way. He's on the lead lap. But how frustrating was it when you sat behind him? Because he was hard in his defence, wasn't
he? Yeah, I was pretty frustrated, but I expected it after stuff that's happened between me and Hygo in the past. But I got past him, I think, two laps into me catching him, and then just completely gapped him. But yeah, like I said, I did kind of expect it, but I didn't expect him to dump push to pass throughout the whole straight.
And talking of expecting, was that one stop always planned, or was it reactionary to what was going on around you? You said about Fabrizio and Liam ahead of you. Did you have to react to them, or was that one stop always in the offing? Because it looked, even though you were sort of hanging on in terms of lap times at the end, when you have a look at Gorby not getting into your DRS by the final lap, it sort of looks like it was a perfect concoction for you to get that job done in the end.
Yeah, it would have been better if I didn't get held up by Hygo, and I could have stayed in the DRS of Michael and Liam, but they got away and started DRS training each other, and going back to the first bit, the one stop was always on. I was always going to do the one stop, just in case the tyre wear was really bad in the first stint, which it wasn't. I would have done a medium soft, and it would have been very easy to get to the end. I think my rears, they felt almost fine by the end. It was just the front right which was killing me a bit, but the tyre wear wasn't so good until maybe a week ago, and then me and Sandeep knew 100% that we would be going for the one stop, and we thought almost everyone else would, and that didn't happen.
You wouldn't have seen it, but Sandeep was a little bit of a rear gunner for you after. I
heard it
after the guys came in for their final pit stop. You said that he'd made his mind up that it was a one stop for him as well. But how critical is it for you guys, being such a strong lineup going forward? Because it looks like a car that is going to be right in the mix all the way through the season. It was last season, and first viewing, qualifying effort was outstanding. So. Yeah, how important is it that both of you are up there instead of just maybe Sandeep in one race or you in another?
It's incredibly important, especially for both of us to be up there. If Sandeep wasn't there today, I wouldn't have won it. But also, if Igo wasn't there today, I would have won it quite easily. So just having Sandeep there, he's been amazing through, what seems like forever. It's been a few months where we've just been we've known we're going to be teammates. And as long as he puts in the practice as much as he has been doing, and I put in the practice as much as I've been doing, I don't see why both of us wouldn't be up there.
Well, Owen, hello, first of all, fantastic, well done, brilliant racing, brilliant strategy. Just one question from me. Obviously, vice champion in FS1 last year. For anyone watching along who's maybe new to GPVWC, fancies getting involved, what's the jump like between FS1 and Superlights? Obviously, we've got a new car this year, so it's a little bit different to years gone by. But how much higher would you say the level of competition is in this second tier of the pyramid?
It is quite a bit higher, but only the top guys, just like it was in FS1. It was the top guys, and then there was a big gap to the mid pack, and then an even bigger gap to the people at the back. And it's the same here, but just with the guys are a little bit quicker, and to get the win on this grid, especially beating Liam, who won the last whatever many he did when he was back in Super League Lights in 2020. It's a good jump, and it's been pretty enjoyable.
So Bahrain next. What sort of circuit is like for you? Is it one that you're going in with a heap of confidence, or is it one that you're sort of looking at and thinking, do you know what? Maybe of all of them, I'll take a podium and move on. Because if you could get another strong result, that's putting you firmly in the championship battle straight away and putting a target on your back.
Yeah, Bahrain is an absolutely awful track. I hate it a lot, but I think a lot of people also hate it. So, there's the win. I want the win, but I don't think I would settle for a podium. I want to win, but a podium it would be pretty good, especially just on a track that I absolutely hate.
Is there anything from the car that you've learned today in terms of setup that you can take to Bahrain and makes you think actually it'll be manageable, whether it's traction out of the traction zones or tyre wear or?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I haven't touched Bahrain, and we'll have to see. I don't know when I'm going to start practice. I definitely need a bit of a break, at least for the next few days.
No problem. Well, look, congratulations, pole and the win, first round of the championship. Omar Gorgi, really appreciate you coming to chat with us.
Cheers.
So that brings to an end the first round of the series. I mean, what a round to kick us off with stunning racing throughout the grid. And we get to do it all again on Thursday night with the Super League, the top tier of GPVWC. But for us, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the Bahrain Grand Prix, where me and Ross will be back to talk you through everything that goes on. And if it's half as good as what we had tonight, we will be in for a cracker. Thank you to Szymon Frelik, who looked after our broadcast with me and Ross tonight. Ross, thank you so much for joining me. But for now, it's good night and good morning and good afternoon, wherever you're watching.